Good evening, Carl's Conversations. So glad to be with you once again. Welcome back to another exciting episode. It is Sunday evening, the 18th of October. We're so glad that you come back with us again. You have a few minutes to tell your family and your friends that Carl's Conversations is back. We're so glad to have you. We're so glad to see you again. So please make sure that you start a watch party or share with your family and friends. Let them know that Carl's Conversations is on. Once again, my number one fan, my wife Tisha, is the first one to greet the audience. So, sweetheart, I love you and we thank you for that. Hey, listen, right as we get started, and I'll mention this throughout the broadcast this evening. My local church, Spirit of Truth Deliverance Church, we are sponsoring 30 families this Thanksgiving, and we're going to deliver a full Thanksgiving meal. We're going to be doing that on Saturday, the 21st of November. And during this broadcast today, I'm going to give the audience an opportunity to chip in. If you would like to chip in financially, or if you want to drop off some food items, I'm going to give you an opportunity to do that. I'll scroll across the screen some information for you, the Cash App information, the information if you want to give by Giverfly. And so if you want to help us, the Spirit of Truth Deliverance Church here in Dumfries, Virginia, to be a blessing to 30 families. Yes, we're going to feed 30 families. I'm going to give you an opportunity to do that. I don't usually do this on the show, but, I realized something. I was driving home from church. I said, sweetheart, it is my show. I can pretty much do what I want to do, huh? And she said, yes, baby. So here it is. So thank you once again, everybody who is joining. As you can see, I have a distinguished panel tonight. All of these wonderful ladies have decided to join us. There's a very interesting topic we have tonight. We're talking about the election again. And I'm probably going to be talking about the election all the way through November 3rd because it is a biggie, y'all. And so tonight's topic is election 2020. Why do we still have undecided voters? Now, I don't know if we have an undecided voter on the panel or not. I've had direct conversations with one member of the panel, but I'm not going to tell on her. I know that she's not undecided, but I'm going to let her tell you all for herself. So I don't know if anybody else on the panel is undecided, but I think that it's an area that we probably need to discuss because I think all of us, we've agreed to come on because we do believe how important this election is. And the election is not just important at the national level as we vote for the president, but it is also very, very important at your local and state level. All of us are voting for congressional representatives in the House of Representatives. Some of us have senators to elect or reelect. All of us going to have something going on the local level, whether it be mayor, city council, county board of supervisors, treasurer, comptroller, city manager. There's all kind of stuff going on. And one thing I have learned by being so active in the current movement is that much of the change that we want to see is going to come by way of those that we put in local positions. Believe me when I tell you, your mayor, your city council members, those local officials, those state delegates, those state senators, they have a whole lot to do with all of the reform and change that you want to see at your local level. Yes, the presidential election is important, and we're going to talk about it. But we want our listeners to know. I like the way you look, Heather. That's the same look I got. So it is very important, and we're going to talk about it. And I want to let the audience know, listen, if you have a comment or a question, please post it, and we're going to get to it as best we can. And like I said, I'll mention this throughout the broadcast. My local church, Spirit of Truth Deliverance Church, we are going to sponsor 30 families this Thanksgiving. We're going to have an event on Saturday, November 21st, and I'm going to give the audience an opportunity to join in with us. If you would like to chip in a few dollars to help purchase the food, or if you want to send some food items, I'm going to have some information that will stream across the screen as we go through this very powerful and very important discussion. So joining us this evening is Janice Brown. She hails from the west side of Chicago, west side. And she's here with us in Stafford, Virginia. We have Mahogany Jade Williams out of Sumter, South Carolina. That's family, y'all. We have Heather Hutchinson here in Stafford, Virginia. Good evening, ma'am. And then we have another part of the family, Monica, down there in Chesapeake, Virginia. So
Hello.
I'm going to start off, and I'm going to ask the first question to Monica. And so the first question is, at this point, in your humble opinion, why do you think that we still have undecided voters? And do you have any type of understanding as to why they have not made a decision yet?
Um, I don't understand. Oh, I don't understand why we may have some undecided voters because actually the writing is on the wall, um, and I feel that some people are Democrat, some people are Republican. However, there's always going to be a time where it's going to be either or. So I am Democrat. I'm not ashamed to say. Um, but when there was a Republican president, you know, there were some things that I may have liked, I may not have liked. However, we just went on with the 4 years, and it wasn't all this, hatred and all this. It's a lot that's really going on, and everyone should just, I feel that they should just be, um, I think they should just be like, okay, 4 years going to be Democrat, 4 years going to be Republican, or maybe eight. However, but just respect everyone. Now, as in for the undecided people, I'm really not sure why they're undecided. I think some people are they just don't want to believe the truth. But I don't know how much more this president could do that would make you think that it's correct. That's just my opinion.
Well, we appreciate your opinion. Heather,
Hmm.
what do you think? Why do you think at this stage we still have undecided voters? And can you kind of understand where they're coming from?
Mm, I'm not sure that there's a lot of people left who are truly undecided. I think, like Monica was saying, I think it's been pretty clear where the current administration stands. And so, whether you're verbal about it or not, I think you probably align yourself on either side. I think I see more of maybe people who would say that they're undecided, but really what they're also saying is, I don't get into politics, or I don't feel like my vote counts, so I'm not going to participate. And the reality is, I think with this um, election and even the last election, is it's not exactly one that many of us are super excited to run to the polls about anyway. It's kind of disappointing to me that we're this far down the road in our country and we have two elderly white men. I'm sorry, but I mean that's our only options. I mean, that's disappointing. So I think for a lot of people to say I'm undecided or I'm not going to vote is there really not effective way of not engaging in the process. I doubt that there are very many people though who haven't chosen a side. I think there are just more people who are unwilling to verbalize it for whatever reason.
Well, thank you for that. Miss Brown, what say you at this point? At this point, can you understand why the undecideds are still undecideds? And there, I'm gonna just let you answer that one.
Um, well, I do agree with Heather. I don't think there are many people left that's truly undecided. I think a lot of people are not saying anything because they are ashamed of their choice. And if you are still believing and want to vote for the person that occupies the Oval Office now, shame on you. And you're really a sad person. And because, with everything that's going on, the way the country is divided. And I look at it like this too. What drives you to the poll? What would drive you to vote for the person that you're going to vote for? And with this person that's in the Oval Office now, if you're going to vote for him, and hate has to be one of the things that is driving you, pushing you to vote for him, for this to continue, but there's nothing good, that a good reason as to why you would want to do this. And if you are ashamed of who you're voting for, that should tell you you shouldn't be voting for that person, or there's something wrong. And I agree with what you said too, Carl, regarding voting even at the lowest level. You need to vote because it all goes up and it's going to affect your life. And any opportunity you're giving, you need to vote and do all that you can to help yourself, help your community, and help the country.
Thank you for that. Ms. Mahogany, at this point, why do we still have undecided voters, and can you begin to understand their mindset?
Like everyone else said, I don't think it's a matter of having undecided voters. It's a matter of having voters who are just choosing not to vote. In particular, with my generation, the millennials, our motto is, I don't see a direct effect on how this presidential campaign has done anything for me. The president has done anything for me. And they're with the notion of, I'm just not going to vote because what are they doing for me? I had a Facebook friend the other day pose a question and asked, can you honestly tell me in the last election that you voted for, how did it benefit you? And I had to run down a full list of items letting this person know it's not just about the presidential vote. Like you said, it's about your local votes. Your local votes is important. The ones that directly make decisions regarding your community, the ones that make decisions on the funding that you're going to get in your community. A prime example, with COVID going on, there was funding that was provided from the government, but it was based off of your local governments on how that money was distributed. It was based off of your governor on whether or not the pandemic EBT that everybody was going to get, whether or not you were going to get that money and how often you were going to get that money. A lot of times, like I said, with my millennials, I have to sit there and tell them, don't think of it as voting just for your presidential. Think of it on your city level. You want those streets clean. You want those sidewalks put into. You want those parks updated in your neighborhood. Then it's important for you to vote. It's important for you to know who's on your school board, who's on your city council, who's running for mayor. It's important for you to vote. So the notion of them not voting at all is not something that they should be thinking about. It's vote for the person and the candidate, regardless whether you're Democratic or Republican, who you feel is going to best interest you and your needs and what you're looking for.
I appreciate that. Just want to remind all of y'all to please mute your phones when you're not speaking, so we can avoid some of the background noise. I want to remind the audience, I'm putting something at the bottom of the screen because Spirit of Truth Deliverance Church, my local church, we are going to sponsor 30 families at Thanksgiving. And on November 21st, we're going to be giving away those 30 meals. And if you would like to join in, maybe you want to donate a little money, or even if you want to send food items, you can contact me. If you want to donate financially, you'll see the information at the bottom of your screen. So that's the reason why that's scrolling. So get back to our subject. And I'm going to start with you, Heather, on this particular question, and then we'll make our way around. Because the elections are so divisive, and we know that they are, whether you're going to vote for Biden or you're voting for Trump, our nation is deeply, deeply divided. Do we believe that we don't have as many undecided voters as there appears to be, or are we having a problem being vocal about it because we're having to deal with our circle of family, friends, because this thing is so divisive? And Heather, I'll start with you just to see what you think about this.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think there is a small pool of of voters who haven't decided. And my opinion would be a lot of them probably come from my background, which would be growing up in the white evangelical church. That wasn't my childhood lifestyle, but that was has been my early adult lifestyle, and often are one issue voters. And that issue tends to be abortion rights. Now, they've also listed on top of that Second Amendment rights. And there are groups, I mean, there was a rally here yesterday that just runs with rhetoric that is fear-based and not information-based. And I think that message is causing a lot of people who are concerned about what's happening in the current administration and have thought of jumping ship to stay maybe on the gangplank and not quite know where to go. Especially if you've had a very intense evangelical childhood, young adulthood, you've been kind of it's been hammered into your brain that it is, one of the worst things you could do to vote for abortion rights, essentially, is how it's worded. So I do think that that's a huge issue that's going on right now. But I also know, I mean, it has happened to me. I work in the government sector. I work for a government contractor. I know that the majority of people in the office that I work at, as well as the group that I serve, are conservative and incredibly conservative, including my supervisors and bosses. And so I don't tend to share more political articles or things like that because I feel like that side is so loud that I've chosen a different route, which sometimes it can be frustrating because it feels like, personally, it has felt like that my views in regards to politics, they're divisive when that's not my heart at all. But there's so much fear-based rhetoric on the current administration side that when you speak out against it at all, it feels like you're speaking against people personally. And so I can speak for myself, which I probably represent, at least some other people out there. And I have been quiet as far as the political side.
I got it. Understood. Monica, what about you? Do you think that maybe some people are quiet because it's a very difficult conversation to have with family and friends, especially if you're thinking about voting outside of what your circle considers to be, normal?
Yes, I do. Reason being because some people may be ashamed, like she says, with the abortion rights. But you think about what's going on in the country now. It's not necessarily about which party, but it's just what's right or what's wrong. Would you like, just because the one thing may be abortion rights, but look at all the other things, the hate, the, stand down and stand by, those types of things. And, it's just, some things will outweigh the other. And yes, I do feel that some people they may not be necessarily, they know who they're going to vote for. They just, like you said, they just don't want to say, and they may be embarrassed, but, once they get behind that little, to themselves, and when they vote, I'm sure hopefully they'll vote for the right person.
Thank you so much for that. Ms. Brown, what do you think? You think that some of these people are just not speaking because of they fear what's going to be said in their circle?
Oh, absolutely. And, this should not be, because when we vote, we should be voting what is right, what we feel is right, and that the candidate is going to do what is right. And like you said, we cannot vote based upon just one thing, that we are voting for this person, because there's a whole lot of other things that, you need to consider. I voted for President Obama twice, and I did not agree with everything that President Obama did. But for the most part, I voted for him because I felt that he had character. He was a person of character, and that he was going to do what was right. And so if you're going to vote, please vote. And it should be something, I think, from your heart. And you should make some kind of connection with the candidate, in a way. And vote.
All right. Thank you. She said, vote, y'all. All right, Miss Mahogany, what do you think?
To piggyback off of what Ms. Brown said, every candidate is not going to have every single thing lined up with what you're interested in. When you're going out there to vote, you need to vote for the person that has the most interest or checks off the most things in your box. If that candidate, okay, so I'm not too sure about X, Y, and Z, but they have A, B, C, D, E, F, G for me. You need to vote for that candidate. A lot of people are scared to talk about it with their friends, with the fear of the backlash. I'm going to tell you, I was shocked to see how some of my friends, how they're swayed to vote. It is a shocker. You step back and then you question the friendships. You question whether or not you should click that unfollow button or that defriend button on Facebook, because you're like, how can they think like this? But then you realize, okay, so I'm being that person that we don't want them to be. So I'm not going to unfriend them. I'm not going to unfollow them, but I am going to have open dialogue to try to figure out why they're voting the way that they're voting. Do they think our economy is in the best state right now under the current administration that we have? So I can definitely see why some people, not just family, but in the workplace, are afraid to voice to everyone why they should or shouldn't vote. Because I know me, I am at first glance that person that's very judgmental to say, oh man, I'm about to unfollow them because this is about to be an argument. I don't got time for this. So this election has really opened my eyes. And like I said, I'm okay, even if I'm on the news site arguing with somebody back and forth. Tell me why. Give me your good reason why I should keep Trump in office. Tell me, what has he done? To me, it looks like he's just reversing the progression that we are going ahead. Things like healthcare reform. Why would you want to take that away? Someone working in the healthcare industry, I know how important healthcare reform is. I know how important it is for someone not to have to get a referral to go see a doctor, and all that was put in place due to healthcare reform by President Obama. So I'm open to dialogue, but I was one of those ones that just cast someone off if they told me they were voting for Trump. I'm like, okay, you got to go. So I can see why someone would be like, no, I don't want to talk to so-and-so or so-and-so about who I'm voting for, because they're not going to keep an open mind. I have an open mind. It's just those views are not the right views that's best for you. And then it's also sad because most of the voters that are voting for this particular person are the ones who need the help the most. So you're the ones that need the help the most, and statistically, you're the ones that should not be voting for him, but you see this person as a higher authority, and that just doesn't make sense to me.
I thank y'all. Just to remind our audience who are just catching on, the reason why you see that information about donations scrolling at the bottom of your screen is because my church, Spirit of Truth Deliverance Church here in Dumfries, Virginia, for Thanksgiving, we're going to be sponsoring 30 families. And we wanted to give I wanted to give the audience an opportunity to join in if you would like to share a financial gift to help feed these families. If you're in the local area and you have food to donate, you can contact me through Facebook Messenger, and I'll get with you on that. So just to let you know. So continuing on our conversation, we just hit a very important point here, right? There's been a lot of disagreement and all facets of discussions about this election, no matter how you feel. I have friends and family who are voting opposite of the way that I have voted. Tisha and I, we voted on the first day of early voting in Virginia, which was September 18th. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing that can be said or done at this point, I think, that will make us feel like we made the wrong choice. But that's us. And I do realize that people have different choices. Do we think, and I know we have the concentration on undecided voters, but I think that this question and answers kind of rolls into that. Do you think that we can disagree and have discussions disagreeing, but not being disagreeable? Before I call on the answers, I want to say this because I have noticed, and Mahogany, like you, I thought I had reached a certain point where, you know, I'm just there. I have a knowledge base. But this election cycle and the fact that Tisha and I are so active in the movement has really opened me up to some other things. And part of the reason why we have this this show, Carl's Conversations, is because I got so tired of people outside of what we're doing telling us who we were and who we are and what we're doing. And just about everything I heard was wrong, right? So we're here to show them that no, what you think and what you are saying is incorrect. We are dynamic people. We may disagree with you, but we're dynamic people. And Lady Brown, I want to start with you on this one. Do you think that we can disagree about how we're going to vote, but not necessarily be disagreeable?
Yes, we should be able to do that. But with the atmosphere that we are now in, it makes it hard to disagree, but still stay agreeable, peaceable with one another because of the atmosphere. And it takes a lot, and it's going to take a lot to, you know, be able to disagree, but still stay friends with someone, as Mahogany was saying, about some people that she know, you know, and just cutting them off. Because me personally, you know, if someone wants to bring that person in Oval Office, start and, you know, pumping him up and look, bye. And, you know, that's how I feel. Going about your business, you know, because if not, I'm going to tell you something you don't want to hear. So, you know, I keep my distance. And so I try not to get into these types of, you know, conversations. And if I see it's going that way, I try to be spiritual, be an adult to know how to exit left, you know.
Right.
You know, and but the atmosphere, it is very hard, and we, you know, and it's just a whole bunch of stuff going on. I mean, whew.
I agree. It is sometimes difficult to stay at what Michelle Obama said, when they go low, go high. Sometimes it's difficult, but I believe it's necessary. Now, Heather, what do you think? Do you think that we can disagree, but yet not be disagreeable?
I like what Miss Brown said, and I agree with that. I think that's how it sounds good. I think that's the way I would like it to be that way. I think what I've realized, and I've unfollowed a lot of people, I've unfriended a few, but just unfollowed a lot just for my own, you know, peace of mind. I think what's difficult this time, and even with the, you know, with the last election, is that when you're not for this person who's currently in the administration, and you want to have a conversation about why, or you want to do and ask a question about, you know, like has been said before, what exactly has he done that's benefited us or yourself personally or our economy? That has not really been a strong suit of this administration, period. There's not a lot of conversation about plans and here's what I plan on doing and here's what we are doing. There's lots of sound bites and there's lots of what's the word I'm looking for? Other than rhetoric, you know what I mean? There's these packaged sound bites that it seems like everybody has gotten a script in the mail and are using them over and over and over. So, when I try to get into a conversation with someone who disagrees with me or likes this particular person, and I start asking those questions, like, well, what is it that he has done to make your life better, your community better, that would cause you to, vote for him again? The answers you get are so canned and so nonsensical, which is frustrating again for those of us who are not fans of this person, because I feel like that they're designed to shut down the conversation very quickly. And so as soon as you combat it, even if you're, come at it kindly and you say, well, I that's not really what we've seen, or all the facts have played out, and this is the information that's been shared by not just the media places that you don't like, but all of the media. They're very fast to respond. It feels aggressive and with canned responses, and so it ends up being this like cyclical and roundabout conversation where oftentimes those of us who are not fans of him get really irritated, and so we look angry and irritated. But the reality is that there's no give and take conversation. It's us asking questions, them giving a response that's been, provided to them, whether they recognize it or not, from the podium, that often doesn't even go with the question. It's just this, response that they've rehearsed, that they think sounds good. And we're left going, what is it's like being in a relationship with a narcissist. Like, I was married to one, and you're confused. So I don't engage in those conversations, but then I get irritated with myself because, like, at work, people will be going off about him, loving him and whatever, and how the rest of us are nuts. And I just sit there and listen, because I know if I try to answer, it's going to be a bloodbath. So I don't know. I'm saying too much, but we should be peaceful. However, I'm not quite sure we are being modeled very well from the top, a peaceful way to have these political discourses. How about that?
And listen, I agree. And I know everybody's not going to play it cool like me. And after Mahogany speaks, I'm going to ask my wife what she thinks. I think I already know, but I'm going to turn her loose. Mahogany, what do you think? Can we disagree without being disagreeable?
No.
Good job, Mahogany.
Point blank period. No. I'm sorry, that was the alarm. Doorbell. No, I don't. And the reason being is because, like Heather said, what can you tell me that this person has done for you? What has he brought forth for you other than a stimulus package that I guarantee that was going to happen whether or not he was in office? And now he's holding another stimulus package from everyone until after elections. So no, I don't feel like we can be agreeable if we are not voting the same, because I know logically with this administration, the backlash that comes with it, I don't feel like we can be agreeable. Now with past presidents, I do feel like there was some, okay, you didn't have to vote for Obama, you could vote for someone else. And I felt like, okay, we could still talk. We could still be friends. I'm not going to unfriend you because you're not voting for Obama. But because of how divided we are right now as a nation, and how the things that this president is bringing forth, I don't feel like we can be agreeable because we did not vote the same way. At this point, if we're not voting together, I know where you stand. I know that you have some kind of hate towards the people of my skin color. Point blank, period. That's how I feel. And that's what I associate anyone that is voting for that administration. So I don't feel like we can be agreeable.
I appreciate the honesty. Right before I bring Neek in, I'm going to ask Tisha to give us your take. Sweetie, do you believe that when it comes to talking about the election, that we can disagree with those who are not voting the same way we are without being disagreeable?
I would like to think that we can disagree without being disagreeable, but I would have to say, the current administration, they are very combative and things of that nature. And the individuals that I have seen that believe in his platform or whatever, they too kind of take on the same narcissistic behaviors, and all of that. So me, I try to stay away from it, um, because it probably really wouldn't go well. So I try to keep myself out of those situations. So that's what I would like to say on that.
Thank you, dear. She was so eloquent this evening. Monica, do you believe that we can have conversations with people who are voting differently than us without being necessarily disagreeable?
Normally, I am a firm believer of agreeing to disagree. However, with this administration, and they're very argumentative, as in like when we saw the debates, you cannot get a word in, very rude. So the people that tend to side, they seem to have that same behavior. So also, is prime example just like with the COVID situation, you know, administration, they said you don't need to wear a mask. That's such a dumb idea, and like criticize everyone who wears it. You see people on Instagram, Facebook, whereas people are peacefully demonstrating, and then you have someone may come over and you're dumb, you're stupid, and cough on them, or just those types of behavior. I saw one where the young lady wanted to come in the store, and the sign says, you cannot come in the store unless you have your mask, and oh, you're violating my right, this, that, and other, and it's just so that's just like a no-win battle. So I'm just like with teaching, just some things you just have to pray and just leave it alone, and just I just don't understand, like like if the doctors are saying a mask, and you can just kind of protect yourself. They come up with so many excuses. Oh, I might get a rash. I might get a this, or I might get a that. And it's just really just like unbelievable. It's just truly unbelievable. That's just my take on that one.
Thank you. And I'm gonna say this. For me, I will admit, I wanted to have the discussion tonight because I'm a little. I'm trying to find a nice word to use. Somebody told me what they thought earlier, but I don't want to repeat it on air because I asked her when she come on. She said, "No, this ain't the area you want me to come on tonight," because I have one statement and it's not gonna be good. She told me what the statement was. I'm not gonna repeat it, but I did tell Lady Brown before we came on the air. To me, no matter how you're voting, right, it's so clear. Even if you don't believe that the two candidates at the top of the ticket for the major parties are good candidates. I felt like that in 2016. I did not want to cast a vote for either of the Republican or Democratic candidate at the top of the ticket because I felt like the choices were bad and bad. But it never crossed my mind not to vote. I just was trying to figure out whether I was going to write in my dog Frisky, who died in 1975, or I was going to pick one of those third-party candidates. That was the only choice for me. But I was not undecided at all. Now, I'm going to say something. I'm going to start with Miss Mahogany on this one because you seem to be talking so good tonight. We have all these major issues, and Monica just brought one up, masking. For me, when I look at all of this craziness going on, I do kind of wonder how in the world can you be undecided, even if you don't like the candidates at the top of the ticket. Even when it comes to your local and your state elections, you got to see somebody there that you think can represent your way of thinking, whether I agree with it or not. But even masking, I want to deal with that masking for a minute. How did we politicize that? How was this not a matter of common sense and common decency? Mahogany, I'll start with you.
That's a question that I'm still trying to answer myself. I literally just left out of the store about an hour before we got on this call, and a gentleman, I'm not going to say the name of the store, but he got upset because his wife was asked yesterday to put on a mask, and then he came back today because they had to return the item. They had the mask on, and then he couldn't return the item, and he turned it into, I'm wearing this freaking mask, and you guys should be happy. And I'm glad that Trump, what does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with anything? The mask should be worn to protect you as well as protect myself from any kind of germs or anything or that could be going on. So I don't understand how everyone has turned wearing a mask in, like you said, something that's common sense to protect you against me or me against you into something political. This has nothing to do with that. But on the other side, it's kind of like monkey see, monkey do, or they're looking up to someone. So if you're looking up to your parents and you see your parents not wearing a mask, then you're not going to wear a mask. It's the same sense of how some of the president's followers are saying, well, the president isn't wearing one, so why should I wear one? He's getting on here saying or contradicting what the medical professionals are saying and why we should wear a mask, and he's contradicting it. He was hospitalized for having COVID. You get out of the hospital, you make a public speech without putting a mask on. You also infected other people because you knew you were affected before you had a debate, but everybody thinks it's okay. So, well, the president's affecting everybody, so I think I'll be all right, and I'm not going to make wear a mask. And I just think it's crazy and it's idiotic. I really do.
Thank you. Lady Brown. Well, hold up. Tisha just raised her hand, so I'm going to ask Tisha. What do you think about the whole masking thing?
I think it is absolutely absurd that the CDC guidelines are not being followed, or the request to have the CDC guidelines changed to fit the narrative. I don't understand for the life of me how wearing a mask became political. As MJ indicated, it is to protect myself against others and protect others against, vice versa. You know what I'm trying to say. Basically, we're wearing the mask to protect each other. And it is very unfortunate that we have a president in office that is not a leader, or you're leading by way of narcissistic ways, the scare tactics. It is not about that. It is about protect. We're in the middle of a pandemic. We should be doing everything that we can possibly do as individuals and collectively to protect each other. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to look out not only for ourselves, but our fellow man. And we have a person that is in leadership that can't even take his own advice or the guidelines that have been set. And I think he rules based off of, everyone stroking his ego. So because he feels a certain type of way today, that's what everybody is supposed to follow suit with. And I think it's really done in poor taste, because we've lost, I think, almost 220,000 lives that it could have been prevented. If you're one of the individuals that has lost a loved one, or you yourself have been personally affected, I just think it's just in complete poor taste and poor leadership that from the head down, that you can't lead people in the correct manner. He has the ability, as it was indicated, and I think in the town hall meeting, and I've seen some interviews where people were asked if he said to wear a mask, they would simply wear a mask based off of because he said to wear a mask. And I think it's just really unfortunate that things are not done in decency and order, with integrity, with respect of everyone. You don't make decisions for yourself that can impact someone else. And especially during this pandemic, I just think it's absurd, ridiculous, and some other words.
Well, thank you, dear. Lady Brown, well, what do you think? Why has masking become such a political thing?
Well, first of all, because the person in Oval Office feel that they can get some kind of political gain from it, that it would benefit him personally, some kind of way. And then also, I personally think because this COVID-19 have been affecting mainly people of color. And so I do believe that he figured people of color, they're going to die. So, hey, it doesn't bother him, one way or the other, because it's not going to affect him. And this way, people of color, they're this and they're that, and, they need to die, whatever. And Tisha was saying poor leadership. I call it non-leadership. They have not did anything that they should have done. They're not trying to. His thing is he's not trying to lead the country because it's all about him, what is going to benefit him, how it's going to look on him, and what people. And the thing is, from day one, my opinion has not changed for the better. It has gotten worse from day one. So I don't, no one is thinking highly of you and these things that you're doing. You can have a position, but that position does not, or title does not make you. You have to rise to the title, or you come up, and it's not going to come down to you. And you must have character to have positions and lead character. It takes something. And so this administration has none whatsoever of character. And anything that's wrong, anything they can cheat, lie. I mean, the lies that are being told on a daily basis. You tweeting lies, and then you stand up and you just lie. And then we got people coming along and repeating the lies. The people that are coming along and seconding these lies. And you're really pathetic. You're worse than the person you're lying for, and it just, all of this. And so all you have done for this country is total a lie. Well, I should say lies. That's all you did for this country. You did nothing for this country. I'm going to shut up because I'm building up.
All right. Well, thank you, Lady Brown, for being so transparent and honest with us. Miss Heather, why do you think that masking has become such a political issue?
Well, you can see it. It's separated pretty much right down the line politically. And the majority of this administration's followers look like me. And white people have not, through the years, have not handled being uncomfortable very well, right? We don't like being uncomfortable. We avoid being uncomfortable. When we are uncomfortable, we complain about it. And so he has very easily found that if he touts that this is unnecessary, that those of us who already are uncomfortable wearing it are going to say, well, he said we don't have to wear it. We don't have to wear it. I mean, let's be honest. None of us enjoy wearing the masks. It's not fun. We'd rather not have to wear them. But I'd really rather not be in the hospital on a ventilator, or have my neighbor in the hospital, or my child, or my parents. But he has very methodically attacked those in leadership who oppose him for wearing masks. And so those who follow him, especially those of us who are white and don't like to be uncomfortable either politically or physically, it's a real easy win for him to say build that fear that this is the first step to them taking away your rights, right? And then all he had to say was that, and then all the conspiracy theorists come in and talk about how this is just the first step. I mean, the stuff that I read it would be funny, except it's terrifying. No one is going to show up on your doorstep and demand that you have to get a vaccine. I mean, but people believe that they are. I mean, people believe we're going to have, trucks riding down the road, and or you're going to be locked in your house, and they're going to show up at your doorstep and force you to get a vaccine. And then probably they're going to take your guns while they're at it. And then probably, they're going to force you to, I don't know what, but what's ironic is that they, we're believing all of this rhetoric that's not real, but the stuff that really is happening, that's fake news. That's fake news. So as long as he can keep directing his base into, the Democrats are trying to take this from you, they're trying to steal this from you, they're going to take away your rights, you're not going to be able to leave in a free country. Let's build up that veteran, that patriotic base that I've got here that is mostly white. It's become political real quick because us white people good Lord. I mean, I'm sorry you guys haven't had your rights for all these years, but don't come after mine, all of a sudden this is a frustration. I mean, you saw they stormed the Capitol building with guns because they didn't. Are you kidding me right now? Like, you should be embarrassed. They're not embarrassed. They're proud. So he sees it. He's tapped into it. He calls the other side, losers and wussies and whatever. And all those, people on his side are like, oh, yeah, that's it. We didn't want to wear them anyway. You're weak if you wear them. So it's bizarre. It's effective, but it's bizarre.
Yeah, I'm going to step in just for a minute before I bring Monica in. Heather, you're right. And I find it very ironic that when the topic was the burning and the looting and the violence at the BLM rallies, we kept hearing that word thug, criminals, and all that. But when we found out that our group was trying to kidnap a sitting United States governor, from that same crowd, I didn't hear such terms. I'm just saying. So, Monica, why do you think that masking has become such a political firecracker instead of it being a matter of common decency and common sense?
Well, I can truly I understand exactly what Heather is saying. I really believe, exactly this the theory, like she just said, she spoke of, and I think that some people feel it's a sign of control. But I just don't understand how they just don't see prime example, like some people who have who was at some of the rallies, they've died from COVID because they just refuse to wear masks. To me, they're playing like Russian roulette. Why would you? Let's see if this kills me, or let's see if I can get sick, or let's see if this or that. And like when the president, when he contracted COVID, he also has the top medical. He gets the top medical, versus what other people who don't. And some of the people who vote for him, they may not receive health care. They're definitely not going to receive the same treatment that he received. And it's just I don't know. This is it's so unbelievable. I don't understand, why you wouldn't want to protect yourself. That's just like wearing shoes. If you walk outside with no shoes on, you're gonna, step on some glass or something that's gonna harm you. Well, just my take on that.
Yeah, I'm saying to all of them that believe, I've even heard people throw God into it. I have faith. I'm not wearing that mask. I said, well, don't wear your seatbelt either, and go find the highest cliff you can and jump off of it. If you trust God, right? He gonna catch you. We'll holler at you. Anyway, I ain't mean for that to come out. I'm sorry, y'all. I get so frustrated. I really do. I'm sorry. Let me come back. Okay, this is what I want to know. And I think this is going to help our undecided voters. I'm going to start with Lady Brown on this one. Many undecided voters, for whatever reason, whatever the deal is, let's help them out. What drives you to go vote? Maybe them hearing us speak about what drives us to vote, maybe that'll help them. So Lady Brown, I'll start with you and go forward. What drives you to vote in this election cycle?
Well, looking at I know that this person did not cause everything that's going on um, in our world right now, but um, what is going on now? The the country is divided. That was first. Now this COVID 19, and no, I don't care to wear a mask, but I do, and I just feel like nothing that the country has not gotten better with this person in the Oval Office. Um, Here in the country and then around the world, the way we are viewed around the world, and the people that this person wants to be connected to is like Russia, Turkey, um, North Korea, these horrible people that are um, at the head of their countries. And so there's no, I feel there's no compassion, no love in our country. We're not united as the United States of America. And then most his behavior, his behavior, and then the rest of the party's behavior as well. And so I'm just tired of all of this stuff I'm seeing. And no, I don't, COVID could have came here, but it could have been handled much better. A whole lot of people that have died would not have died. And so looking at that, these people, they're dead. They're not coming back. And, where's your love, compassion? You don't have to know a person in order to feel, I don't want anyone per se to die. And, but have compassion. I want someone to lead the whole country, the whole country. And it's not about giving me personally, me something because I'm Black or I'm not thinking about that or thinking that way. I'm thinking about the United States, everyone, having us all together. And like I said, just having common decency when it comes to your neighbor, even at the grocery store, wherever, your neighbor. And so that's why, am I just impressed? No. But I don't want the country to continue to go the way it is, because I tell you what, if you don't believe this, it's going to get worse. You haven't seen anything yet.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Lady Brown. Mahogany, what drives you to the polls this cycle?
I will tell you the main thing that is driving me to the polls, unfortunately, is not the presidential campaign. As you said, when you voted in 2016, you weren't too keen on the candidates then. I'm not undecided. I know who I'm voting for. However, that is not the main focus on what is driving me to the polls. My main focus that is driving me to the polls is my city council and my who I'm voting for my school district. For what's going on, the things that are directly affecting me in my town, my community today, that I can actually say, okay, me voting this way has put a stamp and has made a change in my local community. as well as my mayor, and even on the government level, voting for the governor. That is what is driving me to the campaign. This go around, I urge everyone out there to also go out and vote, because it's not all about the presidential campaign. It is about your town, your community that you live on. What are the things that you want to see improved? The whole thing about the stimulus, the pandemic. What are some changes that you want in your town? Are you ready for your state to be back open with 100% seating at a restaurant? I know for South Carolina, for North Carolina, the governors have opened our states back up at 100% for restaurants, for movies. So think of those things when you're going out and voting, those things that directly impact you, that you're going to be with every single day, and think about, okay, that's the reason why I should go out and vote, because I want change at this level. I won't change at this level. For those parents that are out there that are doing distant learning and hybrid learning, Lord knows, with a 5-year-old, I have struggled. Okay. Those are, you going out to the poll, those people that you put in place, those are going to make those decisions on whether or not your kids go back to school full time, or whether or not you can continue with this hybrid learning. So those should be in my opinion, those should be the main factors of why anyone should be going out and vote, not just for your presidential vote, but for your community, your governor, your mayor, your city council. Go out and vote, because those can make those direct changes in what you want to be seen and done in your community.
Thank you so much. Ms. Heather, what is driving you to the polls this cycle?
So a couple of things. I always vote. I feel like as a woman, we haven't always been able to vote. And so I do take that seriously. And, to be honest, I've been a little bit frightened in the way that things have gone the last 4 years, to think about how quickly things can change and kind of fall apart. And I don't want to lose sight of the fact that is something that we fought for. I also agree with Ms. Williams. I think that it's important to not just vote for a presidential, but really to vote for all the options you have locally, to make sure that what they're standing for. And I know in our area, there's plenty of opportunity to get out and meet the people who are running for all sorts of different offices. And I think that's a powerful thing, because like Ms. Brown said earlier, there is a character and kind of a gut check thing. And it helps when you're able to spend time with someone in person. I'm also excited to cast my vote for, Ms. Kamala Harris. I think it's really a powerful thing as a woman to get to vote for another woman, and especially a minority woman. I know she has, like every other politician, has done things not everybody agrees with, and not everything that I agree with either, but I'm excited. I love what she stands for, and that she brings hope to a lot of girls and a lot of young minority girls. So I think that that's really good. But at the end of the day, I'm just going to make sure that I'm out there and voting, because I don't ever want to get to the place where that is threatened, and I regret feeling like I didn't do more. I think all of us, it counts, and we need to get out there and do it.
Thank you so much, Ms. Heather. Ms. Monica, what is driving you to the polls this cycle?
Okay, what's driving me to the polls? One is my right. Two, I think that it's that everyone should, just like Mahogany stated, that you should also not just vote presidential, you should vote in the House, the Congress, the Senate, all that, because it is because people would say, like, when Obama was president, well, he didn't do this, he didn't do that. That's because a lot of people didn't go and vote for the Senate or the House or the Congress and all that. So you just have to make sure that you vote for everything. Also, the disrespect that this president has is just unbelievable. Even from the day one, where he was mocking the person that was had intellectual disabilities, and just to me, just no proof. And like I said before, it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican. It's just the person who's in the office. You're gonna agree with some things that they do. some things you may not. But for the persons in the office to act in the manner that he's acting now is just total disrespect. And if you don't use your right and you go and try and be a part of the change, then when things don't go your way, then you probably should just not say anything if you're not going to go and exercise your right.
I see. Thank you, Miss Monica. We appreciate that. I'm going to ask Tisha, what's driving you to the polls?
What's driving me to the polls, as my cousin Bonica said, that it is the right and our civil duty to go and vote. As we say here, you're going to change your mind or change your seat. In my humble opinion, the seat of the current president needs to be changed, because the saying, divided we stand, together we stand, divided we fall. We have to be individuals to make the change. I think we also need to vote because it encompasses, your local community. And again, it is your responsibility and your civil duty to do so. For me personally, the reason that I voted early on September the 18th is because we need a leader that is going to lead by example. I think in anything, when you're going to be a commander in chief, my humble opinion is that you need to have some type of experience. I think it's okay if you're rich, if you afforded certain things in life, but I think if you're going to be a commander in chief, you need to have some standards, some morals, deal with individuals with love, compassion, empathy, all of those things. And to me, the current leader exhibits narcissistic, just narcissistic ways as a whole. Everything is about how someone can make him feel or stroke his ego. And that is not how you run a good country. The current leaderships puts us in harm's way with other countries. We have to have someone that can come in, that can lead. I think everybody is entitled to their opinions. There are Democrats, there's Republicans, liberals, conservatives. No one state is red. No one state is blue. I think in all of the United States, everyone is entitled to their opinion, but you have to have a leader that can bring everyone together, be it Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative, where, as we said earlier, you have to be able to respect each other's differences and respectfully disagree, but we have to have some common ground, some standards and some morals where we can still work together. We shouldn't get to the point where just because you sit on the other side of the table that I'm trying to take everything away from you. At the same time, no one should just be given anything either. You should just simply deal with people with respect, common courtesy, and decency, and deal with people how you want for people to deal with you. And the current president, in my opinion, because he has been rich and afforded certain things in life, he doesn't know what it is for a single mother, be it black or white or whatever nationality, to know what it is to be a single mother, to have to potentially work 3 jobs just to provide for her family. To even with those 3 jobs, she may not even have health care. These are the things that everyone wants to have their piece of the American pie, so to speak, and I don't think anyone should be denied that right. I think everyone should just go out and vote. It is important. It is important. It is important.
Amen. Thank you. I'll give my 2 cents on this. We don't have enough time tonight for me to get into everything that drives me to the polls, because there are so many things, but I'll give just a few things. Whenever I vote for the candidates that are the closest and embodying what I want to see out of my government. I will tell you that I have never voted for a person who embodies everything that I want to see. So I normally go for the candidate who gets the closest to what I want to see. I am neither Democrat nor Republican. I am neither conservative nor liberal. I really do despise the titles, and I despise the box that people try to put us into. I'm fiercely independent, and I'm a fierce independent thinker. So I tend to not drink the Kool-Aid from either side. I try to look at issues and candidates for what the issues are and who the people are. And saying that, I'll say this. There are a few things going on in our country right now that you just can't talk around. COVID-19, the racial unrest that's going on in our country, these are bigger than life issues. And you just can't get around them. So for me, even though I could not vote for either Hillary Clinton nor Donald Trump in 2016, after President Trump won the election, I prayed for his success because he was the duly elected president. And in this country, we have a peaceful transfer of power. And even though I didn't want to see him nor Hillary to be president, I knew one of them would be. So as a Christian, I prayed for his success because I believed that his success would be our success. It didn't take COVID-19 or for what happened to Mr. Floyd to convince me that this man is not fit. It's a matter of character for me. And there have been things all along the way, even before the election, that spoke to his character, even before he was elected, even before he announced his candidacy. There were certain things about his character. And I'm going to say something real quick. In 1992 and 1996, I voted for Bill Clinton. But in 1998, when he turned the power of the presidency against that 23-year-old woman, Monica Lewinsky, over a lie that he was telling about a sexual encounter with her, I was furious. And I decided then that I would never, ever, ever vote for another candidate who I thought had serious character flaws. And I don't care how close they come to what I believe. Because when you deal with a person with character flaws like that, you can't believe anything they say anyway. My life was changed by a liar and a manipulator. I'll leave that right there. So I know how dangerous they can be. When you deal with a person like that, you can never believe what they say. You have to believe what they do. When it comes to matters of characteristics that I want to see in a leader, I was an Army non-commissioned officer. I've had all kinds of leadership courses. I've had all types of opportunities to lead people all over the world and all different types of situations. And the one thing we were always taught as leaders is accountability and integrity. Accountability and integrity. I do not see those two qualities or any of the other good qualities that my maternal grandmother taught us. I don't see any of those things in our current president. I just don't. This is not a matter of politics per se to me. I believe that in our current climate, a Biden-Harris team at the top will represent the country when it comes to dealing with the COVID-19 crisis. I think there'll be transparency. I think there'll be fairness. When it comes to dealing with the racial unrest, I think there'll be a message of unity and a common sense approach to getting us to where we need to be, even when it comes to the changing of laws. On the local and state level, Tisha and I are very well familiar with our local officials. Over the past few months, and Heather can attest to that because she has been right there with us, we know who our elected officials are. Not that I want to drop names and all that, but know them to the point where they're first name basis. Hey, Carl. Hey, Tisha. How y'all doing? I'm saying that because it is vitally important that you have those type of relationships so you can actually know what's going on. And Elisa Middleton, who is in the audience, Alicia, you know, she's right with us. She knows Heather. She knows me. She knows Tisha. She works with us. So that's what drives me to the polls, trying to elect persons who best represent the America, the local scene, and the state that I want to live in. And I really don't care whether they have a D or R or I or F or Z or a hyphen behind their name. I don't care. I want to vote for people of character and people of integrity and people who will care about the people. And this is not an anti-Trump message, because I'm not on it like that. I just don't believe that man cares about people. I don't believe he cares about much outside of his money and himself. And I cannot and will not cast a vote for someone who I see like that. Now, I'm going to say one more thing. I know I'm talking a whole lot, but it's my show. I'm going to say one more thing. I have heard so much about the abortion issue. I have to speak on it. As a man of God and as a father, I abhor the thought of a pregnancy being terminated sheerly for the reason that I don't want this pregnancy, because there are so many other ways to prevent pregnancy. That's how I feel. But I also feel that from a legal point of view, if we make that illegal, there's going to be no stop to women who want abortions for various reasons. And it's going to happen. We already saw what this nation is going to look like during the late 60s and early 70s, when you had women going to people and allowed them to put clothes hangers up in them to snatch these fetuses out. That's what's going to happen. The moral problem with abortion is going to have to be fixed by those of us who are the called out of God. And we won't fix that problem by shouting liberal and conservative and Democrat and Republican. We're going to solve the moral problem by being the reflection of the love of Jesus Christ. That's how we're going to fix that. And when we fix the love problem, we're going to fix the abortion issue. But when you tell me that you pro-life, let me see how pro-life you are after you talked that poor single mother into keeping that baby, and now she needs services for that baby. Are you pro-life then? Pro-life ought to be from conception to the grave. Don't tell me how small you want the government to be when we have people and what you keep calling the greatest nation in the world, and we have people who are poor and can't get services, and you want to tell me that you're pro-life? I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry, ma'am. I don't accept your argument. I am pro-life. From conception to the grave, we have a responsibility. Now, don't take that to mean that I think we ought to just open up the wallet of the United States for lazy people who don't want to work. So if everybody who just got excited and you lazy don't want to work, sit down. The scripture says that a man don't work, he don't eat. If your lazy butt don't want to work, you ought to starve. And if you got children out here that you ain't taking care of, you need to be whipped. Do what is good and what is right. Being a man ain't about having male genitalia and having 4 or 5 kids by 4 or 5 women. That ain't a man. That's a sucker. A man takes care of his responsibilities. And I can't stand a sorry man. That's worse to me than a sorry woman. And a sorry woman is a sorry something.
Second that.
Anyway, I think I went a little too far there, but y'all please work with me. So, as we close, I am going to post the giving information one more time for Spirit of Truth, Deliverance Church in Dumfries, Virginia. For my audience who does not know, we are running a program where we're going to try to feed 30 families for Thanksgiving. We're going to be having that giveaway on November 21st. That's a Saturday. And I just wanted to give my audience an opportunity. If there are those of you who would like to donate financially to help us to feed these families, The information scrolling across the bottom of your screen that will give you a way to give. For those who live in the Northern Virginia area, maybe you want to donate food, you can Facebook message me. For those of you who may know my number, you can send me a text, and I certainly will respond to you. We can get together with the food. And so I just wanted to give you an opportunity to give if you want. But as we close out, I'm going to do a round robin to get final comments from our panel. And on a situation like this, a topic like this, I think it's really important to close out with final comments. I'm going to start with Lady Brown. You got the microphone, my dear. I just want you to have final comments, whatever you want to say. Maybe it's something that we didn't cover that you want to say to the audience. Please go ahead.
I would just like to say, stay hopeful, stay prayerful, and continue to believe that God can turn anything around. God can fix anything, and he can work anything to our good. And that's my prayer. I'm just going to stay prayerful, and that, to believe God and trust God, and that he's going to work everything out. He's going to fix this, and he's going to help those that need help.
Thank you so much, Lady Brown. Miss Mahogany, what are your final words for the audience this evening?
My final thought is for the nation to not let, or the United States to not let this presidential campaign continue to divide us. For everyone to look outside, see what's going on, see the injustice that's happening to those of color, and make sure that you speak up. Speak up. It starts with one person speaking up. Like I said, for this presidential campaign, just don't let it stop you from knowing the difference between right and wrong. Speak up when you know something is not right, and put yourself in the other person's shoes. If this were me, would I have want this to happen? I think Miss Heather said it earlier. Some of her white peers, they started looking at themselves and thinking, oh, this is starting to happen to me now. This isn't fair. Put yourself in those shoes. Think about, if that was you, would you want that to happen? And get out there and vote. That should be, like you said, Carl, your determining factor, because every candidate is not going to have everything that you look for, but what is going to be the best thing for you, and to make sure that this country is not divided. Thank you so much.
I appreciate that. Ms. Heather Hutchinson, what are your final comments this evening?
Well, really cool tip I just learned yesterday from Mr. Rashid was that I have an expired driver's license, which is why I hadn't voted early, because I have a DMV appointment coming up. And I was not aware that I could use my expired driver's license along with my voting registration card. So I'm voting tomorrow. So just wanted to share that for anybody who may not know, because I didn't know. But yes, I would like for everyone who is considering not voting to vote. I mean, please, for the love of God, go out there and cast your vote. It really does matter for all the reasons that we talked about today, and more. But I also, November 3rd is going to come and go. It's going to be here quickly. And, I don't know what the fallout's going to be after that. I don't know. It might be a few days before we really know who won. It might be a mess after that. There might be arguments. I mean, we don't know what it's going to look like. But I would just want to challenge all of us, myself included, that we have a responsibility to go high, to show compassion in a place that, and in a time that maybe we don't feel like showing compassion, if we need to. And also, if it goes away that we'd rather it not go, to not lose heart. But there's a lot that we can do at the community level, and to let it be a lesson to us to not allow us to get in this situation again. We've got to prepare before this happens again in 4 more years, and not keep acting surprised when we end up with candidates that we're not too thrilled about, and start making changes now. So either way it goes, but especially if it goes a way that we're not thrilled about, we need to draw together, encourage one another, and be the country that we can be, one-on-one, individually, neighbor to neighbor, friend to friend, family to family. And it might take more than we've ever given before, but I think if we stay connected, we can find a way to do that.
Thank you so much, Miss Heather. Miss Monica, what are your final comments?
Okay, I think everyone should treat everyone the way that you would want to be treated. If you're undecided as to who to go vote for, to do your research and make sure you get out there and vote. And please go and vote early because here in Virginia we have a little problem on the last day of registration. So, we don't want to have those problems in certain areas come election day. So again, go out there and vote. Keep treated. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Miss Tisha, what are your parting comments?
Please go out and vote. It is your civic duty. Every vote counts. Do your research when you go to vote. Know that when you're voting, it's not just for today, but it's for the generation that's coming behind us. Remember that we are to lead by example, to do unto others as you would have them to do unto you. And just deal with people with love, compassion, care, and concern and understanding. We may not agree, but we can respectfully disagree and we can move on. In all things, do it in love. And just be patient with each other. The world is currently divided and we have to do our part to come together because together we stand, divided we fall. So we have to stand together, even if we disagree. We have to figure out ways to come together, regardless of what the outcome is. Treat people the way that you want to be treated. And when you see something that's not right, say something and be the person to make the change that you want to see.
Wonderful. I thank all of my guests. I want to remind the audience one more time, the reason why you see the information scrolling at the bottom of your screen is because the church who I am a member of, Spirit of Truth Deliverance Church here in Dumfries, Virginia, this Thanksgiving, we are trying to feed 30 families, and we want to give the audience an opportunity to share a financial gift if that is on your heart to do so. And the information below gives you that information if you'd like to share. If you live in the Northern Virginia area and you want to share some food to help feed these families, well, absolutely contact me and we can talk about it. My parting comments are this. Number one, vote. Vote and vote early if you can. You see that leadership from the White House is being very provocative when it comes to these militia members to go and watch at the polls and to keep us out of a very violent situation and to make sure that your votes can be properly processed and we can know early on the 3rd. I encourage all of you where your states have early in-person voting. I encourage you to do so. Many of these states who have early in-person voting also have drive-up voting. In Virginia, these early places, most of these precincts, you can drive up if you're afraid to get out and deal with people because of COVID. Okay. And I want to say this. I know it may have sounded a bit harsh in my previous statements, but I do despise sorry men and sorry women because you end up raising sorry kids. It's just the way it is. But I do have compassion. And we're talking about all this voting, but for those family members and friends that we know who are convicted felons, many of them have not been able to participate in this election cycle. And my heart goes out. In most states, there is a process where you can petition the governor to have your voting rights and your civil rights restored. If you live in the state of Virginia, you are blessed because we have a governor who's in office. If you go through the proper protocol, you most likely will have your voting rights and your civil rights restored. I do personally know of people who have had their voting rights and civil rights restored and did early voting in this 2020 election. So I want to make sure that you know that God loves you. And if you have gone to God to forgive you for whatever that crime was that landed you in prison in the penitentiary, God has forgiven you, and God loves you. There are people like Tisha and I, like Lady Brown, like Mahogany, like Heather, like Monique. All of us are saved. We have accepted Christ as our Lord and Savior. We love you and we accept you. And we understand that you're in a situation where you have to be rebuilt. And I have every compassion in the world for your situation as you go through the process of being rebuilt and have to re-enter society. And I want you to know that. All right. So for anybody who has disagreed with what we're saying here, hey, that's cool. That's why we have the show. Your comments and your questions are welcome. Also, we're not going to cast you aside because you disagree. Carl's Conversation is a safe place to have a difficult conversation. That is our motto. We love all of you. We're very thankful to our guest on the panel. It's been an hour and a half, so we appreciate your time. Thank you for hanging with us. It doesn't seem like it's been an hour and a half, but my timer says it has been. So thank you all very much, the panel. You've been awesome tonight. I think that you probably did help some of the undecided voters. There's some things that you said tonight. If I was undecided, you may have pushed me to go make a choice one way or the other. So thank you so very much. And for audience, God bless you all. Thank you for being a part of this tremendous program. Thank you for being a part of the audience. And until next time, as I always say, may God bless you and may heaven smile upon you. Until next time, good evening.